being honest with yourself. Is being honest with yourself and what encourages you and what discourages you, and just applying that every day and protecting yourself from it. I have done that, and I found out that it actually works. And there's a lot of different things that affect your attitude that you cannot plan for. So what you got to do is have that foundation of an attitude of what keeps you in a good attitude is applying it back to what's been working for you. I never was a medical speaker. That's funny, I have no problem sitting down one-on-one, one-on-two, but after that, so I assume that we're all here because we enjoy selling or we enjoy making a living. Hopefully you guys enjoy your job. That's one thing I've learned fortunately at an early age of 38. Life's too short not to love your job. And if you don't love your job, get another job. Like, this is the job I love. I love doing what I do. Except when you do get them back in restaurants. It takes on forever. Then it's time to go back to my attitude outline. One thing I've had to learn is that positive attitude is contagious. When you've got a positive attitude, you walk into a business, whether you've been selling or not, it says a lot to the business owner. You don't, it's like I was thinking the other day, earlier, before I really started focusing more on my attitude, one of the statements that always drove me nuts when I was dealing with an advertiser is, yeah, you're not buying, and then you guys are good luck to you. Like, good luck. You couldn't see the value of what I was showing, so I need luck to finish the job. And at the beginning, it did bother me. I'm like, I don't need luck. But as I've gone along and I've done this job long enough, and when somebody says that, I just smile and say, if you're not lucky, I don't need it. It just doesn't even bother me anymore. Because usually, I fill up my tables are pretty darn close. If I have one or two extra spaces and I want to close it out, I close it out. Or luck has nothing to do with it. But there again, through the years, all the years I've been here, as you try different things, it helps feed the good attitude. Whether it be how you present it to the people is important, how you lay it down. I mixed around a couple years ago. I mixed around on how I do my sales as far as pricing and everything. And if you find the right way that works, it only helps to keep your attitude good. If that makes sense, I assume. But one of the biggest things for me in helping me keep a good attitude is how I really learned to break it down to the average business owner who understands everything by monthly. The monthly bills. So in my process of paying it out, I average it out on my price list, and that's what I highlight. $56 a month in front of 10,000 people. And when you really show them that, and they buy on it, and you start selling 3 out of 4, guess what happens to your attitude? It just builds on top of each other. And there's different components of attitude, but like what happens in your personal life. I met a guy one time, I don't know how he did it. I've been in advertising for over 25 years. I've sold radio, TV, direct mail, I've done everything. And there is nothing that even comes close to this. But I remember a guy that was a car salesman. And this was late 90s, so it'd be like $250,000 now. He was making $100,000. And I knew him for a while, and then I stopped by and saw him. He said, I'm having my best year ever. And I went, well, great for you. And then he started talking because all of a sudden, I'm going through a divorce. I'm like, you're going through a divorce? You're having your best year ever? And I said, did you want to get away from it? He goes, oh no, he goes, I just know how to turn that off and keep my good attitude out here in sales. I'm like, wow, I wish I could learn that from him, because I can't do that. But it worked for him. But that's why each and every one of us have to learn what affects us to have a good attitude or a bad attitude. Live by it and apply it, especially in sales. Like me personally, I can't have a good attitude if I don't believe in it. Some years ago, my family tagged me as, you can sell ice to the Eskimo. And at first I kind of thought about that, but then you know what, as long as I believe in it, yeah, I could. So, but I can't stress enough, especially there's a lot of people here that hasn't been doing this stuff. Even if you've done sales before, but doing this type of sales, how critical really the attitude is to yourself. If one of the most important things you can do is just being honest with yourself and doing an outline. I suggest making your own outline. How many of us have done that before? I didn't do it until this year, beginning of this year. Where things where I kind of stayed away from purposely, but I stayed away from or I did more of. And I'm having my best year ever. Now, my CPA gave me bad news the other day. You're going to be paying twice the money you did last year. I said, thanks a lot. But I told him, I said, well, I paid you to think smart for me, so let's figure out by the end of the year what we can do. Because they definitely don't know how to use my money. Yeah. But, attitude. Attitude is in belief, it's in behavior, it's in perception, and it's an emotion. And, like back again there, if you don't, emotion with me, sometimes when, like, for instance, I know one thing that if things go bad with me and my wife, it affects my attitude, right? Because I can't separate it. I do office work that day because I don't want to go out and blow money. That's just me. I'm not telling anybody else to do that. I'm just saying this is me. So there's always some type of other thing you can do, but really strictly learning what gives you a good attitude and what not. And it's been one of the biggest things that's really worked for me this year. And just being honest with your own self. If you don't want to talk to anybody about it, don't. But just make your own list. What is and what isn't. We all have honest with ourselves. We all can learn what is and what isn't a drag out for us. Every day. That's right. And when you start finding yourself getting some no's, share my attitude. It was really interesting on this. When Mr. Sept called and asked me to do this, I was hired and kind of, oh yeah, Mr. C, no problem, because I'm riding that curve of that wave. 2 projects I did were so unbelievable. The first one I did, it took me only 5 days to sell the thing out, and I still had people that wanted on it. And I thought, oh, that's great, Then I went to jump over another one, and it took me 4 days to finish it out. And I still had people that wanted to be on it. And talk about reinforcing your attitude. And Mr. C calls me in, and I said, sure. And I started the new project. There's not been any tables or anything like it. I've been struggling. This first week I was struggling. Did like 10 appointments, didn't sell one of them. Am I doing the right job on the right project here? And I started to caught myself with my attitude. The yellow cards are good, but they're just a bonus. So I went back to the basics and got door to door, and all of a sudden, my whole attitude changed because I went back to the basics of what I was doing in sales, and then the attitude that was working for me before, and now I start slamming it out. So it's just keeping things in check for yourself, being honest with yourself, and just battling with it every day, every week, you know. And if it's not a battle, great, that's where you want to be, is where it's not battling. So, I'd like to ask some interjection here on what are some of the things that deters you from, affects your bad, from good attitude to a bad attitude. Is there any interjection there? Yes, ma'am.
First project I was doing when I started with this company, went into car dealership and he said, well, you're never going to get to sell that. You're never going to make it this town. And I said, well, why? Because all the other sales reps for the radio and TV industry are rooting for you. They're rooting for you. They walk all over you, talk all over you, when you're trying to do a transaction with a customer. You'll never make it. That's my first thought. And I said, well, I don't think they can read this to me. I said, because I'm not a junior level salesperson. And they said, I'll come back to you when I finish my first round table talks. And I did. You still haven't bought from me. It's okay. But I was so mad about it, that changed my attitude to react to go out and come along.
That's right. Taking something negative, taking a negative and turning it into a positive to fuel the fire to succeed. Yes, sir.
I'm sure everybody's had the experience where you walk in to somebody brand new, never seen you before, it's just a cold call, and it just went right. They were glad you came in, they were happy to see you, wonderful idea, sign you up, right? That's happened at least once to everybody. Seriously. So when I'm out and I'm hitting no, I have to stop and go, you know what? There's another deal I understand about for something I just find it. Because I know I keep going on board. I'm going to walk in and I'm going to meet other guys just like me who's going to be really fast when I stop and listen. And that keeps me going. Sometimes I have to talk to myself and answer myself and say, there's somebody else out there who's really going to like this, and is going to be really glad that I stopped by and see it. And I just haven't found it yet. And the only way that I'm going to find it is to keep going on board.
Well, that's what I was going through when I came off from the 2 good jobs in that first week. Like I said, I did 10 presentations, didn't do a sale. I took the weekend, readjusted my attitude, and there was a big difference because of what just revamping. You know, I've been in sales for since right out of high school, so a long time. But I've been advertising sales for 25 years. So even meeting somebody like what I do, I still have to go back to the basics. Watch the attitude. Now, what about positive? What's up with the positive things? What type of things can do to get into a good attitude and keep that attitude going?
You took that demo board. You did the best about I mean, you really do, hands down. And for me, I did a little stuff for a few months, but I sold machine tools in Chicago. I sold diagnostic instrumentation in the hospital market. And super long sales cycles, highly complex, you're juggling a dozen balls at one time. And for me, the beauty of this is we're looking at 28, 30 ads for consultant platform. And it's a number. And what I found, I haven't kept track and shit, but there's been days and days when I've sold. And it's that last call, it's 4:30 on Friday, like, man, I'm calling that here 45 minutes. I'm like, no, I'm going to sit down. And that's the reason why it's 25 miles from home, so I haven't been on the website. I'm here, I'm that. I'm just and that's just the way I go. Every business I see is an opportunity. I walk into a little mom and pop shop and they hand me $1,000, $58, and so forth, and stuff. And I walk out with a check $1,000.
That's what I really love about this job. Just 4:45 in the afternoon after a bad day, you goes home with a $2,000 check. Does it get any better than that? No, and you know, if you really learn to be honest with yourself, you do put up fences to protect yourself, or you should protect yourself. Kind of like I said, I learned, realized the news really affected me, so I don't even bother. So if you learn like something like that, stick with it, because if it's working for you, you know the old saying is, you know, if it's working, don't fix it. I know the government tries to tell you differently, but you know, if it's working for you, don't fix it. Go ahead.
There's another holiday where I walked into a place and had to write up to about 15 minutes just something through that, so just one. And the guy said, well, how much? I would explain all that, and I said, $7,000. And then he smiled, he told me it's not really. And it turns out it was $5,079, 30 some bucks. So that positively caused me to go to the next appointment, and do it again. So that was why I had it,
Yeah, you know, and looking at other people's attitudes. I just did on this project here, I was starting with, I was talking about, I went into one call, and the person says, wow, $2,000, that's a lot of money. But when I married the next one, the guy pulled out his checkbook, well, you know what, you're completely done. This is $2,000, that's unbelievable. I thought you were going to say $2,000 a year. But for me, drilling home on what I know works, to keep the good attitude, keep myself right, and then every once in a while, like I said, you have to go back to the basics. It's so much important as far as keeping a good attitude, because if it starts getting sneaky, they're not going to buy from you. And I actually, there for a while, some few years ago, I had a problem with no's. And you fear the no. It's attitude. It's a number. It's a numbers game. So you change your attitude about the fear of no, and nothing else works. You get out there, cold call, door to door. I mean, it fixes everything. And then all of a sudden, you start cracking down on your attitude. But I have a standing offer that I do on every project that yet to be anybody's ever. I had to pay it out. I sat down with people in business and they're, $2,000, that's a lot of money. No, but I break it down to where it's $50 a month. And I say, okay, this restaurant runs 20,000 people a month with it. You're looking at $50 a month. If you can find me cheaper advertising for $50 a month average, I'll give you a free ad. And I've had people say, yeah, well, and then the next day they call me back and say, you know what? It doesn't check in advertising, because even new businesses, it doesn't check in on advertising. I'll buy you that. But having that attitude, that go along with that attitude is finding out what really works for you. Like for me, I can't stress enough, it works so much for me, is drilling home the monthly amount. Because it works so well for me, which helps assist and keeps my, that attitude just keeps going. It's just being aware of the discipline of yourself. And a lot of us don't like that word, but, honestly, if we just keep to what the outline is that we know works, it will work for us. And just keep going back to it if we need to. I'm one of those people that, when you take a word and you give a abbreviation to every letter in that word. So I was playing around with the word attitude. And so I came up with some words for attitude, okay? A for action. Knowing what works for you, apply it. T for thinking about being honest with yourself. Think about it, keep thinking about it. I've been in sales since '85. And I still want to go back to that. Think about things. Take time practicing. If the next one is initiative. If you don't take the initiative, who's going to take the initiative to lay out the attitude? Then once you've done the initiative, transform. You're the only one that can transform your own attitude. Mr. C can't do it. Some years ago, when I first started and I was going through some stuff, I called Mr. C because he was always so uplifting that my attitude was adjust. But then it was kind of like a drug fix, you know. But finally, I just learned, you know, I got to do it myself. But he did teach me a ton of stuff. If you guys haven't talked to him on much on advice, he's just a walking library. T, you're the only one who can transform your own self. Plan plan for the unexpected. When something unexpected happens bad, there you go. Go back to your format, back to that outline. And then D is dreaming. If you dream it like me, I never dream. And I'm not meaning it because I give God the glory for everything I do. I never dreamed I'd be making the money that I'm making this year. Never dreamed. And I made myself wonder, well, if I would have dreamed it before, you know, with this attitude, could I have been here sooner? Well, it doesn't matter. Now I've learned from it. Great. And do not personalize the no's or the good lucks. You know, you're the only one that has to either, you know, what's the old saying that's, you know, whether you're the one that's going to let in the attitude, let it stick to you or not, you know, whatever they say to you. But, you know, I've got so much pride for so long, and it's interesting to hear from like this guy right, saying that being in other fields of sales and how well he raved about his company, how great it is and what we're doing. See, that just is a feather for me in my cap to reinforce, you know, little things you can do to reinforce to keep your attitude. You know, somebody who's done something differently. I've never done anything outside of sales, so I don't know what it'd be like to do something else. I wouldn't have much input. But he has, and that type of stuff. So you listen and talk to people. That, you know, anything you can do to help reinforce the good attitude and stick with it. I'm done.